I think as a prospect, it does help you. It may hurt you a little bit because you did do it in the first place, so it may hurt his draft potential or where he is in the draft. But I think he'll still be pretty high because he admitted it, and hopefully he doesn't do it again. And if he gets caught, then he'll be released. Simple as that. I think the GMs will see past that, and they'll look at him as a football player and how he does.
Honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And it's because as a society, we've reached the point where we question, how bad marijuana is in the first place. I mean, it's legal in 2 states. It's really not that big of a deal anymore. Yes, it's banned in the NFL. Yes, it's illegal in most states. But we've reached the point where a lot of people don't care if you smoke weed or not. And also, once you get to the NFL, as long as it's nothing serious, it's more about, rather than don't do drugs, it's more about don't fail the drug test. So, and you get a heads up. You'll know for the most part when it's coming. So unless he was, smoking that day, and he's just got to be careful once he's in the league, because I don't think really many GMs will care if he uses or not. It'll be more if he can pass the test. So, I think he still goes in top 10 because, I mean, there's not a whole lot of stars in this draft. I mean, obviously we got Mariota, Jameis, and Amari Cooper. But other than that, not a
And Kevin
whole...
White.
And Kevin White. Not a whole lot... okay, and Wisconsin just knocks down another 3. 17 seconds left, so Arizona's basically done.
Really?
I'm about to cry, but that's alright. So yeah, he'll still probably go top 10 because a lot of teams need that outside linebacker presence. But we'll see how it plays out. So now we're going to get back to the tournament a little bit. And, I mean, what was your dark... Because we're supposed to have this whole preview show, and then, we were out a couple weeks. So kind of got messed up. But Snowball, who was the biggest... Let's say, who was the biggest surprise that was out early for you?
Big surprise is out early. Probably Iowa State. That's probably the best bet. Or Villanova, definitely, I think, too. Because Villanova was looking... I mean, if you watched them play Lafayette, you were like, wow, this team could actually do something in the tournament. And they could not shoot the ball. They could not shoot for their lives when they played NC State. They really could not. They shot like probably 25%. And, it's really amazing how NCAA basketball is set up, where you play 30-plus games a year, you give it your all, you do well in the tournament, and if you're good enough, you're going to do good in your conference tournament. If you're good enough to have a great season, if you're that good, then you have a chance to play one more game. And if you lose that game, then your season's done. So it's amazing how you really cannot mess up a lot in the NCAA tournament, because teams will, everyone's only got one shot, so teams will just pummel you. And I feel like, you really start seeing the weaknesses of teams like Virginia. We saw that they can't shoot, and they got out early against Michigan State. We saw Kansas struggled. Wichita it was really just their day, Wichita, and they won that game. Nova, they couldn't shoot, they lost. Baylor, they struggled. They could not break a press against Georgia State at the end, and they lost. And the 3 for RJ Hunter definitely helped them. But it just shows, what this tournament's about, that you have one game. You work so hard for one more game, and you work constantly in the tournament for one more game. So it's interesting. And back to your question, I'm shocked that Iowa State lost, I think, and I'm shocked that Virginia lost. I thought their defense would help carry them, but they couldn't shoot, and they gave up a lot of points to Michigan State. So that hurt them. I really thought Virginia had a shot, especially how they were like 30. They were the second to last team to lose their undefeated season this year. Kentucky's the only one left. So yeah, I'm shocked that all those things happened. But like I said, that's what the tournament's all about. you can't really mess up, or else you will lose, and your season will be over. And everything you did before that is forgotten.
Exactly. I mean, the first 2 days was just insanely shocking to me. All the amount of
in my pool, brackets were done before the school day ended.
Exactly.
With Iowa State losing, so it's the tournament is amazing. The concept, it's an amazing setup, and you really cannot let your guard down at any time. You can't, you have to push constantly every time. I mean, so if you think about the seniors, for a lot of these guys, this is the last time they'll ever play basketball competitively.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an amazing tournament. It's an amazing experience. I think you're lucky in college if you play in it once. If you play one game, if you play in the first four, I think you're lucky. It's just a cool concept. But like I said, you work hard all year for one game.
Yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. The amount of 1-point games, the amount of upsets, and I think
I feel like the upsets, I mean, they weren't too crazy. We've seen crazier upset days, I think.
Georgia State over Baylor?
I think we've seen crazier ones.
And the way it wasn't even like just.
I'm sorry, Norfolk State and Lehigh won on the same day. I mean, I think that's the craziest upset day of all time when they won, both of them.
It wasn't, for me, it wasn't just like the seeding and the teams, but more like the way it happened. The Georgia State.
I mean, Baylor choked so hard in that game. I mean, they were up by were they up by 6? In under a minute.
I think so.
But and then they could not break that press. I mean, you saw it. They turned the ball over like 5 times. I was like, "Are you kidding me, Baylor?" Because I had them in the Sweet 16. I was like,
"Yeah."
But I did not know too much about Baylor. I mean, I don't think anybody was like, "Oh, they can't break a press, so I'm not going to pick them." Because Georgia State didn't do a press till the very end of the game, and they could not break it. And they were lucky to have a 2-point lead, and then R.J. Hunter hit a deep 3 to win that game,
which was amazing. UAB last second win.
Iowa State again choking in the tournament. I mean, we've seen this before. This isn't new. I think they made this. I mean, Georges Niang just absolutely sucked. Was really bad shooting. And last year he was hurt, I think, right? I think he was hurt.
I believe so.
Okay, so yeah, he was hurt. So Iowa State, I mean, I'm not picking them next year. You know what? I'm just not. I haven't Sweet 16 this year, but I just can't do it. I'm not picking them.
I was also insanely surprised. Well, in fairness, Harvard probably should have beaten UNC.
That was close.
It was a crazy ending. I was very surprised. I had Harvard in the Sweet 16. I thought they were going to beat Arkansas as well. So yeah, there's the red increasing on my bracket.
Who did Providence play in the first round? I can't even remember now.
Providence.
11
Dayton.
Seed.
I actually had Dayton winning.
I know. Who did they play, though, in the first round?
Providence and Dayton.
Oh, Dayton. Yeah, Dayton, I want to talk about that for a second. Dayton had a cakewalk in this tournament. They from the way that they were set up, they should have made the Sweet 16 the Elite 8.
Should have beat Oklahoma?
I mean, they probably should have made the Sweet 16 lose. But anyway, the point is, they, first of all, they played their first 4 game in their stadium, in their arena. They played at Dayton. I mean, I don't care. The committee, you got to change something there. Just make them, if they're 11 seed, just put them in a different region. Don't make them play in their home court. And then they won the game, all right, and they beat Boise State, which is on the other side of the country for Dayton. And then Dayton plays in Cleveland. They play in Cleveland.
Same state.
I mean, Columbus. They play in Columbus, which is not too far. You know, it's in Ohio. I mean, is Dayton a 1 seed? I'm sorry. Did they think 11 was 1? Like, it was so easy for them. They had a home crowd the whole time, and I don't know if Sean Miller was like, "Hey, give my bro another shot at a Final Four appearance," but I mean, it is ridiculous. And now he's signed the coach for Dayton, Miller. signed an extension through 2022. So I want to see what happens there. This is going to be interesting. But, I mean, Dayton. Ooh, hiccup. Dayton. I mean, come on. I mean, NCAA committee is completely messed up. And I'm appalled by them. I mean, I hate the NCAA enough. Just the fact that they did that is appalling.
Also, UC Irvine almost beat Louisville.
That dude was sick. Oh my god, that 7'6" guy. I mean, he didn't have any moves. He just had a dunk, but I mean, at least he got up the court pretty well. I was surprised. He's better than Sim Bular. I'll give him that.
That's true. And you also mentioned Villanova. Now, everyone was so surprised when Villanova beat up Lafayette 93-52. But people forgot that Lafayette was Lafayette. Kentucky did the same thing to West Virginia, who was a 5 seed. Held them to 39 points. And they probably should have scored more, but after a while they just started chucking up lobs to each other.
I don't know. I like Nova. I've always liked Nova. So I might be a little biased on my things, but I mean, they looked really bad. Ochefu, the center, could not score.
He was not feeling it at all.
He looked bad on both sides. I mean, he couldn't defend. He couldn't rebound. He couldn't do anything. I mean, the Abu and that other dude on NC State were just bullying him. Javon Pinston actually was the only one who looked pretty decent out of all of them, which is the power forward for the team. Dylan Ennis could not shoot. They had it. I mean, and despite the fact that they shot really bad, they were at a point down by 2, with possession under the shot clock to tie the game, to win the game. Dylan Ennis takes a wide open 3, and just like the most of the day, they fail to make it, miss the shot, they lose. And it's the tournament. It's just upsets happen. So it was tough. And they had a good squad this year. They're going to lose Hillier, who was the leading scorer. They're going to lose Pinkston, their power forward, just 2 starting 5 guys. They're going to have to bring in recruits or Josh Hart, Phil Booth. One's a sophomore, one's a freshman. They got one good recruit coming in next year, but it's going to be a different team. It's going to be a smaller team. So, and this is the second time that Nova's lost in the second round as a high seed. They were 2 seed last year. Remember, they lost to UConn. So,
yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how the committee is going to put them next year if they're good enough to make the tournament, because we've seen it with Iowa State now. They've been high 2 years in a row and really have not done too well. Gonzaga, I mean, but they might not do it because we always see Gonzaga as a high seed, and they always, they're always early exit. Not this year though.
I think Gonzaga's going to win, honestly.
I like Gonzaga. I mean, I like Kentucky. I like Gonzaga. Wisconsin's killing it right now too. I mean, there's some good teams out there.
Yeah, in case you missed it, Wisconsin won 85-78. They're in the Final Four.
I just can't, and I can't believe in the East that either Louisville or Michigan State is going to the Final Four. It's just kind of weird to me.
Yeah,
I really did not think Louisville was that good.
Yeah, I thought NC State would beat Louisville, honestly.
I really did not think Louisville was that good.
All right, so to wrap this all up.
Okay.
Final Four. Well, Wisconsin's a given, but then we have, what do we have? Kentucky, Notre Dame, Louisville, Michigan State, and Duke Gonzaga. Who's the other 3?
All right, so I'll go Kentucky with Wisconsin. And I'll have Michigan State going against Duke.
Okay, and then from there?
I'll have Kentucky winning, and I'll have Duke winning, and I'll have Kentucky being Duke.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go Kentucky over Notre Dame tonight. Then Michigan State over Louisville. Right, Michigan State over Louisville, and Gonzaga over Duke. Then I have,
Okay.
Then Gonzaga over Michigan State, and Wisconsin over Kentucky. Then Gonzaga over Wisconsin.
Okay.
I'm going out on a limb here, but I really think Gonzaga can win. They have to redeem themselves from Adam Morrison, because that's their last great player.
Olenek was pretty good.
Oh yeah, I keep I keep forgetting he went to Gonzaga.